Today in class you did some work together in groups on some coordinate proof stuff, and I want to just give you some little pointers here. I'm not going to show you how to do anything because figuring out how to do it yourself is the main reason we're doing this. It's not to get the answer. It's to figure out how to do it yourself, because the how to do it is the answer when you're doing a proof. So you need to actually understand and go through the process of figuring out how to do these problems. Struggle is where you grow. So you got to struggle on some of these. I expect you to, and I want you to. On the front page, I think most people had no problem with 1 through 3. And 4 we kind of talked about together. Now remember, I told you on this grid here, don't just completely ignore the fact that there are hash marks or little grid markings. We don't really need grid markings, because when you're trying to prove something, you have to prove it for the general case. So if I prove something is true for coordinates that are like 3, 0, and 0, 7, that doesn't prove a general case. So that's why you're going to use variable coordinates on most of these. And on pretty much all of these, it's called coordinate proof for a reason. You need to find coordinates. So let me just first of all point out number 4, number 5, and everything from 8 on. You will not have numerical coordinates for any of that. None of these things will have numerical coordinates. Okay, that's the first thing I want to point out to you. Number 4, number 5, and everything from 8 on, no numerical coordinates. We talked about how number 4, like you could draw it like this. If we're saying that this length of this leg is m, then that means this is m0. You don't need to write an m along here. You need to show that by writing m0 right here. And if the length of this leg is n, that means that this point is 0n. Okay, you're using what you know about how coordinates work to figure out how to name these coordinates. If we know the length is m, that means we go m units to the right, so m0. If this length is n, and we go n units up, so it's 0n. If you get stuck on something like that, sometimes it helps to think, what would I do if it were a 4? Well, that would be 4, 0, okay? So instead of a 4, it's an m. What would I do if this was 6? I'd go up 6, that'd be 0, 6. Okay, now what if it's an n instead of a 6? Etc. All right, same thing goes here. I think most people are okay here. 6 and 7, you're doing it with coordinates. But let me just point out on 7, it's very important. If you're trying to show something about the area of RST and the area of the rectangle, which the rectangle here is PQRS, you actually have to find those. Area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. Area of a rectangle is length times width. Or you can consider that base times height as well. Okay? Now when you do that, you should notice that the height of triangle RST is actually going to be 1. So once you have it graphed, what I want you to notice is that the height of triangle RST is 1. And that goes with its y value. That will come back into play right here, because you have to deal with the height of triangle DBC and whatever your coordinates are for D, and you need to find them. You have to have coordinates. So like for instance, I could go ahead and do my original triangle here, the right triangle ABC, just like I did on number 4, and this would be M0 and this would be 0n. And then I use the midpoint formula with those 2 points. So midpoint formula means difference in the, add the x's and divide by 2, add the y's and divide by 2. So you will simplify that. That gives you coordinates for D. And just like we just said here, and you need to refer to your graph to see this, the height of triangle RST is going to be the y coordinate of that tall point. The height of triangle DBC is going to be the y coordinate of D. So this is the height of triangle DBC. The base is the length from B to C, which in my case would be M. So when I'm actually doing the area formula 1/2 base times height for triangle DBC, I'm plugging in M for the base and whatever I get from my y coordinate of the midpoint for my height. And then if I need to show that the area of this is 1/2 the area of this, then at the end, whatever I get for the area of the triangle, I need to show that equals 1/2 times whatever I got for the area of the other triangle, the smaller triangle and the bigger triangle. Okay, so you look at that in the context of the work you've done there. This one's not too bad. You need to use the midpoint formulas to find the midpoints. Need to use the midpoint formulas, and then how do you prove lengths are the same? You find the lengths using the distance formulas. All right, on to the back. Number 13, you need to think about, this is, and it might help to know, I mean, I think that they intended for us to assume this here, but it's a parallelogram. Okay, if this is a parallelogram, whatever the distance is up here is also the distance down here. That's really all you need to know to be able to do that one. Number 14, the hint I want to give you on number 14, they're giving me equations of lines. If they gave me an equation of a line for BD and an equation of a line for AC, I've got two lines. I have their equations, and I want to know where they meet. What's that called? That's called solving a system of equations. If you want to know where two lines meet, that's the solution to their system of equations. So you're going to take these two equations and you're going to set up a system. That's the worst bracket I've ever drawn, almost. You're going to set up a system and you're going to solve it. I would use substitution. Okay? On this one, draw it first, and remember that if you square, you're going to have to use Pythagorean theorem. If you square 2a, the 2 gets squared also. So keep that in mind on number 15. And that's about it, I think. So here's the deal. I'm not here tomorrow. You're with Miss Folger again. You're working on some parabola and circle stuff. On Monday, I want you to have this ready. Okay, so you have from now, Thursday, to Monday to finish this. Not to find a friend you can copy off of, because that's not going to help you understand how to do it. So make sure you actually puzzle it out for yourself. See you on Monday. Bye.